have roll call, please. Oh, is it right there?
Okay. Mr. Canning.
Here.
Mr. Sleason. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Jones.
Here.
Mrs. Camper here. Mrs. Ressler.
Here.
Ms. Stearns.
Here. Pledge of allegiance, please. Okay. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, looking at item 4.1, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the July 16th special board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Canning, seconded by Mrs. Camper. Any discussion?
Mr. Canning.
Aye.
Mrs. Camper. Aye. Mr. Johnson.
No.
Mrs. Jones. Aye. Mrs. Ressler.
Aye.
Ms. Stearns.
Abstain. Okay, 4.2, looking for a motion to approve the July 17th regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Canning, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion?
Mr. Canning.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mrs. Jones. Aye. Mrs. Camper. Aye. Mrs. Ressler.
Aye.
Ms. Stearns. Aye.
We'll move on to the board recognition award.
Well, I feel bad. I don't know if you saw me just step out in the hallway to take a phone call, but that was my recipient who's not going to be able to make it tonight. But I would like just to say a few quick words. Scott and Danielle McKay are the owners of a restaurant called The Station in Tinley Park that was formerly known as Luby's. I actually have to thank Dan Goggins for the introduction to Scott and Danielle, who are the new owners and changed over to The Station. They have been such outstanding community partners and just great neighbors to Tinley Park High School. It's kind of nice when you have somebody on call, and whether you need catering, you need a location, you just really need whatever, you call them up and say, hey, whatever we can do, whatever you need, just tell us what you need, and they take care of it. They just catered our back to school lunch on Friday, which was very well received. They hosted 4 fundraisers for different athletic programs at Tinley Park High School, which obviously our students are the benefactors of. And they're just the nicest 2 people to work with, to talk with, and our students are better because of our relationship with them in the station. And I just told them on the phone, I said, I'm still going to get up and talk about you and Danielle. I said, but you're going to have to apologize to my parents. My parents are here tonight, and they too, through just talking about how wonderful they have been at Tinley Park High School. My parents are local Tinley Park residents. They and their family and friends often frequent the station and have also met and developed a great relationship with Scott and Danielle as well. So although they came here to see them tonight, I guess I'll just have to go to the station and see Danielle who's working. So I will happily give him the plaque on your behalf. He is so sorry he couldn't make it at the last minute here, but I thank you for giving him this recognition, and it's just, like I said, a great community partnership.
And absolutely, I know they're not here, but we definitely want to thank them on behalf of the board. We do have a plaque for them that states that you have helped to provide a positive learning environment for the students of District 228 by the time and talent you share. Thank you for caring.
And they do care, so thank you so much.
Well, they can actually watch it on video.
I know. And actually, I have to laugh because I even brought them their spoons back from Friday's lunch. He said that. He's like, if you're going to throw those away, I'll take them back. So I was going to present him a little bouquet of spoons as well. So I'll make sure he gets home.
Thank you. All right. Our next item is a presentation from an IASB member service.
So, a couple of months ago, we had a vote not to join ISB, and the board asked me to revisit that vote again. I invited Dean Langdon from IASB to give a short presentation and then answer any questions that you may have.
Hello, board.
Aye.
I am, once again, Dean Langen, and I work in our training division of the Illinois Association of School Boards. So I work with my colleagues and friends who deliver in-district workshops and run division meetings, put together the panels for our conference, run special events throughout the state, new board member workshops, our online learning center, etc. And so I want to make sure that I have plenty of time for any of your questions regarding membership in the Illinois Association of School Boards. But I do have a packet that I want to point out just a few items. And so in your packet, I put together just a few flyers of some of our services, of which you take advantage of as a member. We're not a vendor. You're a member of our association. So frankly, when we get to time for questions, I want to hear from you about your association. You have input into the way we operate. We have a governing structure in which board members elect a division officer who sits on our board of directors, and that's important for you to know, and for you to know that you have input into the association. In your packet, I'm just going to run through a few services that again, you take advantage of as a member of the Illinois Association of School Boards. Near the back of the packet is a flyer describing our policy services, a great value. So when you think of your press subscription, that legal guidance you get based upon statutes, new state laws, case law, best practices in school governance, that's a product and a service that you take advantage of as a result of your membership in the Illinois Association of School Boards. We also have a flyer on our in-district workshops. Frankly, I've noticed that you haven't necessarily taken advantage of bringing in Perry Hill or one of our field service directors for an in-district workshop. We recommend all boards do something related to self-evaluation, thinking about your practices, your procedures, ethical issues. Maybe it's a goal setting, maybe it's something on the board superintendent relationship. We can customize any number of workshops to meet your needs, and I would encourage you to reach out to myself or Perry Hill, your field service director, to bring that workshop to you in district. The most convenient and frankly a pretty inexpensive meeting as well for you to take advantage of that training. I have also placed in this packet a little flyer on our division meetings. Every fall and spring we have 21 division meetings throughout the state. We encourage you to come and be a part of that professional development. It's usually an evening in a restaurant or a school and could cover a wide variety of different professional development opportunities in just one evening, usually from 6 to 9 o'clock in the fall and the spring. And then the last thing I want to share with you is just our latest Alliance legislative update. In cooperation with the Principals Association, the Superintendents Association, and the school business officials, we work to educate legislators on the issues of school management collaboratively. And I can tell you that in my little corner of the building, I have our governmental relations staff all around me, and know for a fact can tell you that they work very hard on a daily basis advocating for you in Springfield. And that's a service that you get with your membership in the Illinois Association of School Boards. So those are just a few things that I wanted to talk about. You know about our conference, you know about our pre-conference workshops, and I'm sure you know about all of our publications from our communications staff as well. Now I know that membership is not cheap. That's why you're having this discussion tonight, and good for you. We would recommend in our training that you do just that, that as a board you think about what you're spending your money on. And when I think about your membership as an association, it's not just the dues piece. You have to think about the policy piece and the in-district training, the other opportunities for professional development, and the governmental relations piece as well, as one collective cost, so to speak, to the district. And we think if you pare down any of those individual services, you'd pay a lot more going to someone else. But having said that, you're a member. So I also want to hear from you about any concerns you have in being a member of the Illinois Association of School Boards. Or questions.
Well, you know, we're supposed to look out, obviously, for the taxpayers, stakeholders' money. With these dues, and you just had mentioned, you know, it's not cheap. Okay. I'm looking at some of your literature here, and I see, you know, the board self-evaluation, $400, and then you have a workshop for $600, and you have a full-day workshop. You know, I know people's time isn't cheap, but why wouldn't some of this be covered with the dues?
Well, the way we price some of our products is a very minimal cost.
Okay.
So the
Minimal cost being,
minimal cost to you.
okay.
And all of those services are certainly covered by the dues that you pay as well. So when you look at all of our in-district workshops, frankly, we couldn't price them at a particular figure that would cover all of their costs. $400 is probably not much for mileage for a trainer to come from home to here to do the session.
So we're paying for time.
That's right.
Okay, so.
Yeah. It also frankly keeps members honest in that when you have a little bit of cost to a particular service, like
Skin
a
in the
district
game.
workshop, you make sure that everybody comes. You don't get here and the board can't meet due to lack of a quorum. So I will say in terms of policy, in-district workshops, pre-conference workshops at our joint annual conference, those costs have not changed in the 10 years that I have been an employee of the Illinois Association of School Boards. So we try to keep those level and as accessible as possible for folks like you.
Sure.
and other spots.
Well, you know, again, you asked for our opinions.
Yep.
We're members right now, right, until we expire or we renew. And that's one of my concerns is, you know, we already pay dues and then we're being priced with all the other stuff. Maybe we would like to have a board evaluation, but $400 may not seem a lot to you, but 400 here, 600 here, you know, 1,000 there. I mean, it adds up. And again, going back to what I originally said, our responsibility is to stakeholders. And if we're already paying, what was that, Bill, 12,000 for this, for the dues? 12,000?
I have 11-1.
11.1? I mean, again, 11.1, 400, 600, so it does add up, you know?
I understand. Coincidentally, the dues formula, which is approved by our board, the 21 representatives around the state, along with 3 other officers, is on the next board of directors agenda. They're looking at things like the impact of evidence-based funding on the formula, the impact of ADA as a part of the current formula, and now the new formula looks at enrollment versus ADA. So that's going to be an ongoing discussion.
Good, maybe if they meet, you can pass it along for them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So kind of going off that formula, I think there are questions as far as why was there an increase? And what more are we getting now with that increase? Is there not any additional services or is it really formula-based?
Your dues formula is on this green sheet here, and it's all based upon past ADA and past operating expense over time. So theoretically, are there districts around the state with sinking ADA and less operational expense that might have a reduction in their dues? Yes. So your dues went up $300 from last year, based upon that formula.
And that's based on our ADA and operating expenses?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that was a big question last time. What are we getting for that?
Right, what are we seeing for that increase? What other services are being offered?
Sure.
And again, when you're talking almost $100 million budget for a district, $300, $400 seems like nothing, right? But if you don't stop it somewhere, right?
That's right.
Or pay attention to it somewhere, they'll get out of hand.
Yep.
Okay.
And in the training arm of the organization, I would be teaching boards to do exactly what you're doing here tonight.
Now, the other point also was the services that you provide through press. How is that different than us utilizing an attorney or attorney?
Well, you'd have to do a cost comparison of what hiring your own legal staff to keep you in compliance with state laws, regulations, any federal issues that come down the pipe. I mean, even if you were to combine the dues figure you're paying along with the, I think it's $850 for the standard quarterly press update, you'd be hard pressed to hire any sort of legal staff that would be able to put together the document that you get on a quarterly basis with our press subscription. And it's because we're doing the work involved. We're doing the work of 850 school districts around the state as we put together that press subscription.
Can I ask Dr. Kendall a question? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, there was a question. Would you please reiterate how many classes, I would say in the last 6 years, 5 to 6 years, have you've offered compared to what is now? If you could go back.
Oh, in terms of our curriculum?
Curriculum, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Professional development.
Sure. We've got an extensive curriculum for boards, both in district as well as at our conference and other regional settings. Board superintendent relationships, monitoring as a board, community engagement, superintendent evaluation. We've got a couple of sessions on that. We have 3 or 4 different ways to do a board self-evaluation. And then plus when you add up the other sort of customized work that we do, it would be difficult to exhaust the list of courses that you could take advantage of.
Could you, what about as far as online? I know that at first, about 5 or 6 years ago, you were offering maybe the basic classes, maybe
Sure.
the 3 that were required.
We've added, we have.
And you've added 4, and then now I think it's maybe several.
The other thing we started last year was a monthly webinar, and that's included in your dues. So we're always looking to add new services. It just made sense for us to do 1-hour webinar with new hot topics. We've got something coming up in September on the JAMS decision for board members to think about. We've had attorneys come in and do monthly webinars with us. So we're always looking to add new services, and if we can do so in a cost-effective way and just hand them to our members based upon the dues that they're paying, we'll do that. Other questions?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Dr. Kendall, getting back to the other discussion on the press. How beneficial is that to you?
So we go through a process. We take the press recommendations. Some of it's pretty obvious because it's long and you don't have much choice. I would move those right along, and then some of them that are up for interpretation or questioning, I send to our attorneys. So just to do another check. So I don't know if that answers your question. That's the process. It's
all right. I'm going to ask a question. Is it redundant?
I try not to make it redundant because I know our attorney fees.
Right.
Would our attorneys be spending a little bit more time creating our policies? Probably. I don't know if that would offset whatever number we're trying to save. But we need to make sure that those are right.
We have an advisory committee of several attorneys that review those policies before they get to you.
Correct.
And I suspect because you're a high school district, there might be some customization. My experience with high school districts is there's a few things in policy that maybe you don't find in a K-12.
Typically, it links to contracts. So if press makes a recommendation that doesn't align with our contract, we need to have an adjustment by our attorneys. But for the most part, we take it in bulk.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
What about your other offerings that you have that are unique that you had just within the last year or 2?
Oh my goodness. Well, we had our first equity event last spring where we brought in a couple of speakers from outside the area with nationwide expertise on equity and education. We had several districts present with best practices. That has evolved into an equity committee in-house that will be looking at how we can further teach school boards and districts to deal with equity issues back home. So that's going to continue to evolve. Just in the last month or so, we've talked about how we can bring collective bargaining expertise to our members. We feel like there's a whole lot of expertise out there on the Teachers Association side, and certainly school superintendents have their expertise that they get a hold of. Well, how can we do that on the board side? So we're talking about that in the future. We're looking at any number of little tweaks to our joint annual conference to keep engagement up there. We want board members coming to that every year and getting the best professional development that they can. So,
And how much
with-
was the equity symposium?
how much was the bottom line?
I mean, how much was it to the?
Oh, it was a free event for members. It was a free event for members. Because I ran the budget on that one, that was about a $45,000 event. So,
On the, this board has had several conversations about going to the conferences nationwide, okay? Can you tell us the benefit? We have our joint conference in November, okay? And it's a fabulous catalog full of classes. It's really nice. What can we get out of going to a national conference that we can't get out of in Chicago?
well, I'm going to be the hometown guy here, and I can tell you.
I don't want you to be a salesman. I just want you to, you know.
Yeah, I've been to NSBA many, many years in a row, and I think, frankly, we rival quality. We don't necessarily get the star power that they do at an SBA event for some of their keynotes, and that's fine with us. That's not what we're into. You won't see the Illinois Association of School Boards reaching out to a Hall of Fame quarterback to be a speaker. That's not really what we're about.
Right.
One thing I do think you get from a national perspective is sometimes there are issues that begin on the coasts of America, right? And they work their way to the interior, and sometimes you get a glimpse of what's happening in some other states that I think is
Or maybe what's
sometimes-
coming our way.
Yeah, I think there is some value there. But I really do think from a quality standpoint, our joint annual conference rivals certainly anything any other state is doing, and rivals the national event as well.
Thank you for your
That's
honesty on that.
that's as salesy as I'll get.
What about our representation on the national level?
We have opportunities. The National Association of School Boards is a federation, so it's a organization of individual states, associations. And so we have opportunities to send people to be part of their delegate assembly as a part of their assembly work to set the legislative direction at the national level. So we participate in that. And on occasion, we get someone on their board of directors at the national level too. So that's a benefit that we get in linking up to the national associations.
Good info.
Thank you. I want to leave with just one thing. Your representative for South Cook Division is Dennis Ryan. And he is a board member just like you over at...
146.
is that right?
No, he's at 230 now. He was at 146.
Orland Park, the high school there, Orland Park,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So he sits on his board and he's thinking about the same things that you're thinking about on his board. He's available to you. If you need to reach out to Dennis and talk a little bit about what happens at board of director meetings and the monitoring and that discussion, I would encourage you to do that. And then finally, I would just say thank you for representing your community and advocating for public education. Absolutely important role for you in serving your community and being a part of the democratic process locally. So thank you for that.
Can you speak to like how we represent at at the state conference each year, the benefit of that?
Sure.
As our voice.
My hope is that you participate in our delegate assembly, which is an opportunity for you to give to our government relations staff the marching orders for the association. So if our members decide that we are on this side or that side of any particular issue, the delegate assembly is where that discussion takes place, and there is a democratic vote. And as a member, you would vote yea or nay on any particular issue, and then that would send that guidance to our government relations staff, and then they would reach out to a legislator and try to craft a bill to meet that particular directive.
And that happens at conference?
Yes.
Okay, and the delegates are usually not voted, or who are the delegates?
Say that again?
The delegates.
Yeah, each member has one delegate, so you would select your delegate from this board to come and sit at that meeting and be prepared to vote the will of this board. We don't want that board member coming and voting their own beliefs. We want them having a conversation with their board and bring that belief structure to that meeting. Yeah.
You definitely have to select one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
right, communications, do we have any comments from the public? No comments? All right, our superintendent report, please.
Since the last regular board meeting, we received the following Freedom of Information Act request. Andrew Hansen requested all current negotiated agreements between your district and all bargaining groups or a link to such documents. All current salary schedules for the 2018-19 academic school year, if not included in above agreements. Copies of all contracts for all currently employed administrators, including school, building, and district administrators, and a list and/or description of all benefit compensations afforded to administrators if not specifically included in contracts. This request has been completed. Catherine Smizer, NBC5 Chicago, requested records sufficient to show all cases where Bremen Community High School District 228 paid a plaintiff or plaintiffs by verdict, settlement, or satisfaction as a result of a sexual misconduct or sex gender discrimination claim from January 1, 2008 to the present. In addition, all records of separation agreements and/or payments to individuals who stopped working with Bremen Community High School District 228 after being accused of sexual misconduct, harassment, and/or sex gender discrimination, and this request has been completed. For my superintendent's report tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. We've been in the middle of a building project for a while now, and for a while, people are excited and have been asking me what the interiors of our buildings are going to look like. I've been asking our architects what the interiors of the buildings are going to look like for a while. I made the mistake of going online to another school district who had a video of what their insides are going to look like. With that information, I aggravated our architects to give me something that I can show the public. They said, well, we saw what you saw, and while it's nice, ours is going to be much, much better. So I kept waiting, and Ivan, one of our representatives for our architect, showed me something last week that blew me away. And Ivan, how many hours did you spend on this?
We spent a lot of hours. A lot of hours.
A lot is probably close to 200 hours putting this piece together. It's not something that you just do like that. So I want to apologize and thank Ivan at the same time and congratulate him. This will be up on our websites as soon as Jamie can do that. I showed a 2-minute clip at our opening day, but I wanted the board to see the full 11-minute clip, so bear with me while we show Ivan's incredible work. warn everyone that those are just artist renderings, and they may change a little bit. There's still some choices that the buildings will have to make on colors and things like that. But that's the vision and where it stands at these points, which is pretty impressive, so thank you. Good.
Do we have any reports from board members?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mark.
I met with state representatives Davies, Hastings, and Orion. We wanted to discuss the possibility that the board would end up, or the district would wind up financing the pension plan of teachers. The main concern that I got from them is that when we negotiate these contracts, they don't have any say-so over what we agreed to with our administration and teachers. And then they say, well, at the end, we wind up having to pay the bill. Right?
Meaning the state of Illinois.
Right.
The retirement.
The retirement portion of it, they said, well, that's one of the reasons why they want to pass it back on to us, because we agreed to that. Just looking at our district out there, I think it's going to be about $97,000 for a medium income for a teacher. Is that about right?
Seems a little high.
Even if it's, I know it's in the 90s before.
I would say lower 90s.
If we take that and divide it by the 185 days that they work in a school year, it's like $524 a day. I just did it on my calendar. Teachers that live outside the district, I don't really know the numbers on that, but when we think about it, we have to consider that it takes a village to raise one kid, and I believe that the teachers as a whole make up the village or live in the community in which we are raising our kids in. Going back to the point where you said that we're in the top 20% in suspension. We have to consider that if the majority of our teachers live in the district, I think that they got to know the kids and live in there and see the struggles and stuff like that, that our suspension rate will go way down. The service of that. We as a district has a responsibility to make sure that, that we protect, the monies and stuff that goes out to the districts and stuff like that. Do we as a board need to be involved with the negotiation and protection of it? Contracts, I strongly think that we should be a part of the hiring and everything else. We need to be a part of it as a board. That's just my opinion. The only way that we're going to ever go back to our constituents and say, yes, we're really addressing. How many people live outside of our district that teach in our district? We should know that for our people, because it could be tens of millions of dollars that's leaving them. And it doesn't show that since the medium income for marketing is $50,000, and that's for 12 months worth of work. How do we justify that what we're paying out? And it's basically double what we have. Just my opinion out there, to get it on the record. The removal of our president, Dennis Stearns, who also met with me with Davis and Hastings and Ryan, and trying to figure out how we can best solve this. And he basically said that we should use our platform here and speak about it. And then it'll be up to 3 or 4 other board members to come along and say, yes, we agree. One thing I want to also speak on, and I'll just briefly as I possibly can, is that I'll just read it. In early 2005, board member, in 2005, the school board extended Dr. Mitchell's contract in 2009. Shortly after that, Gleason became president of the board and replaced the school district legal counsel with the firm that her son works for. The new law firm promptly circulated a memo to the board asserting that Mitchell's contract was invalid. When confronted by the parents wishing to understand why Mitchell's contract was contested, Gleason responded by, do you know that he was gay? Now I'm going to leave it there. I thought I was going to read more of it. I want to just say this. They extended this man's contract, even though they knew that his sexual orientation. I'm looking for us to remove this law firm. We looked at Larry Canning's situation, was the first one that has ever been done in the state of Illinois. Then we followed it up with Christine's. We need to get control of ourselves as a board. We need to get control of ourselves. I think Evelyn lost her presidency over this. It is a conflict of interest in my opinion because they went out and did something out there that this man wound up winning. I mean, tens of thousands, maybe millions of dollars. How much did we spend back then as a board fixing this mess? They were starting to step to the man and got him to ask him what would it take for him to drop this lawsuit. And he's president. From what I understood, it took $5 grand. And we was going to be embroiled in a very long legal battle. I would hope that you would all read the Cook County Human Rights Commission filing on if you're not familiar with the case. But he did win. But he proceeded to go and say that she committed wrongdoing. Remove the board president. We have a legal team that has represented us in a number of school contracts, teachers union and administration, and they represented us. I think we can do that.
Any other board comments?
I met with, I spoke with several people from the community and including municipalities from our neighboring cities. And we were speaking about improve our communication with our community on our capital improvements. They had questioned about some buildings. There were some people, several constituents that were wondering what's going on. And I did refer them to our website. I stated that we have a website. Also, we have our monthly meetings posted on YouTube. However, the community members, as well as some of the municipalities, did agree that I made a suggestion. I said, if you need any more, we do have a new PR person that is handling our public relations, and suggested that maybe we send those to those municipalities, different neighboring cities.
We could use this.
And even use this piece and send it directly to those municipalities so that maybe their public relations department can get that out to the community as a way of communication, opening up communication.
That's a plan for after tonight, so we're going to you guys to see it first.
Oh, great. So that's one of the things, because they saw, a lot of the community members saw buildings erected. They saw the sign was up there, but they didn't know how that all tied together. Some of the people from the community did address that their concern was not everybody still has access to computers and electronics. Although we have the library, they don't have ready access. So that one way of communicating with them more effectively would be to reach out to those neighboring communities and their professional public relations.
And you're always welcome to send those community members to me.
Yes, and I did also state that they can come to Superintendent Kendall as well. So those are some of the concerns. Also, communications from parents from the different communities. We can use some, I informed some of the community members about using our portals, but that's when they brought up the fact that they don't have, some of them don't have devices in their homes. I also stated that they can use their, cell phone devices and things like that, but they just wanted a little bit more communication as far as different things that are going on. I told you about how it's doing all of our electronic functions. So. There was questions some people had about the cost of the attorney, and I did relate those questions directly to the administrative office. And several questions about Delta, which tonight was very impressive with the tour. And there were several questions about that. So I'm glad many of those questions were answered on tonight. And I would like to also thank Danny Linton for the executive director for coming out tonight as well. And I would like to thank the director for showing us that wonderful display of the Delta program. Many of the parents and students as well are excited about the up and coming school year.
Any other comments?
I just like to add, if everyone could keep the D'Ambrosia family in their thoughts this year. Judy was a staff member for some time, and she'll be missed in our community.
To the board members, just if you haven't had a chance yet, please email me committees that you're interested on chairing and being a member of. Looking at ideas and suggestions for the school year. And again, just to reiterate from our previous board meetings, comments or concerns from the public, let's make sure they get routed to the appropriate staff member and administration to answer questions. All right. Moving on to committee reports. Teaching and learning, Mark Johnson.
I have a hard time to really say that. I'm sorry, give me a second. Board of Education, Teaching and Learning. That Tuesday, August 14th at 6:30 p.m. President was myself, Mrs. Gleason, and Dr. Williams. Absent was Mr. Cannon. Our guest was Mrs. Russell and Mrs. Campbell. Comments from the public was none. Old business. The committee looked at the class sizes of each building based on enrollment as of August 5th. While there are a few sections at each school slightly above the top of the window, the balancing is still occurring, and it is expected that most of these issues will be corrected. The district added a section on Spanish at Bremen, and Dr. Williams will notify the committee if this occurs. The committee will look at class sizes again after the 10-day drop. New business. Dr. Williams reviewed memorandum of understanding between the District 228 and Community College District 210 for the new alternative education program to be housed at Oak Forest Center on Sausalito campus. The committee is recommending this MOU to the full board for approval. Dr. Williams' 2018 advanced placement scores. Dr. Williams presented students' achievement results from the past spring. The district saw a 1% increase in the past exams by the students over the previous school year at data. The highlights from each school building were reported. A complete summary of the students' achievement will be presented next month to the entire board. Announcement: the next board meeting, the next meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 11th at 6:30 at the Administration Center. The meeting will adjourn at 7:04.
Thank you. Facilities? What did you do?
The board facility meetings was Tuesday, August 14th again at 7 p.m. Actually, it was called to order at 7:05. President was myself, Mrs. Kemper, Mrs. Stearns, Mr. Manson, Mr. Boswell. Absent was our guest, Mrs. Russ, communication from the public or businessman. The building and grounds updated. Mr. Manson presented information on the status of the following projects: the field houses for cast panels, and field house finishes. Sound panels. Technology update. Mr. Boswell presented information on project completed last school year, completed this summer, and plan of this school year that included content filter network audit, disaster recovery plan and switch replacement, cameras upgrade, digital signatures, and battery backup. New website, teacher iPads and pencils, technology committee, ebooks, effectiveness. Discussion none, announcement none, and meeting, next meeting none. The meeting was adjourned at 7:44.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. New business?
Item 10.1 pertains to the bills, addendum to bills, payroll, and CDS bills. These items are being recommended to the full board for approval.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Canning. Any discussion? None?
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Canning?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Camworth, aye. Mrs. Wrestler?
Aye.
Ms. Stearns?
Aye.
10.2.